Yes, YouTube, I hope that you're good. It's Ben Hawksworth at The Coach Consultant. Today is going to be a little bit of a different one, maybe fun for some people. I hope it is. I'm going to be using Spartan and Roman examples to explain offensive and defensive structure with your offering, acquisition, sales, content, and everything. And the reason I went for this type of example is because I love the Romans. I love anything like that. They were conquerors and they used intelligence, right? And what I'm going to basically show you today is that a lot of the time when it comes to fitness professionals is you're actually spreading yourself way too thin across too many bases. So you're not creating enough impact in certain specific targeted places to obviously get the response that you want. So when we're looking at program design, when we're looking at solving problems, when we're looking at content creation, acquisition, sales, we need to focus on making as much impact in hyper-specific areas, again, within that target market niche customer persona as possible to get the response that we want. And I'm going to show you this with a real easy to understand visual example, and I'm really excited to dive into it. So let's jump onto the board. Offensive and defensive structure in a really different example, but I really hope you understand because I'm trying to articulate in a way that you can process it and really kind of get it drilled into your mind. So as a first starting point, let's actually talk about what defensive and what offensive is. So in this example and in this structure that I'm going to talk through, basically your defensive program, and the rationale for calling it your defensive with your program is because if you are coming in and just looking at offensive acquisition and getting loads of people through the door, but you've not actually got any guards and structure when it comes to defense, then you're going to be at a loss straight away, aren't you? Right? There's no point in, again, attacking when you can't defend, because you're just going to concede points or loss of lives with a Spartan example, which is obviously not what we want, right? So when we're looking at defensive structure, this is basically about how you can retain clients, how you can get results, how you can get referrals, because if you don't prioritize your defensive structure, it does not matter how offensive that you are. It does not matter how many clients you're getting through the door, as if you are just losing people all the time because you've got no defense systems, right? And again, when we dive into it in a second in the board and on here, it's not about coming in and trying to solve every problem for every single person. When we're looking at offensive, this is going to categorize into three different areas, and that is going to be content, acquisition, and sales, which is what we heavily focus on with our core pillars and deliverables and subsystems at The Coach Consultant, because at the end of the day, most of the time when people come to us, they know how to coach, they know how to get results, and they're a great person, they care about the clients, so we focus on the offensive. But in today's example, I'm going to show you both sides of it. So when we're now coming into here, right, I want you to go back to the start of the video where I said about the law of three, right? If, let's just say, for example, right, in here, we've got one person which is in the middle, right? This person here, or this pillar, only needs to focus on what they are doing themselves and what the person is doing there and what the person is doing there. That is their role in this shield wall, for example. If you looked at what Romans used to do, they had shield wall next to each other and shield wall above, right? So to create a defensive structure, in essence, all I want you to think about is I need to focus on what's directly in front of me and what's to my left and what's to my right, right? If I'm trying to create a really good defensive structure to retain clients and get results and all that type of stuff, I can't be focusing on, let's just say, for example, what this bloke is doing at the back or what that person is doing, because if I come in and I'm turning around looking at this person or that person or all these, or even this guy down at the end, what I'm doing is I'm losing my formation. I've broken my defense because I've not focused on what I need to do and what this person's doing and what that person's doing. So for the system to work, all you need to focus on is three core areas. But what we've got to take into account is, for example, we're just focusing on defense, and this is where you can't just be a good coach anymore. You can't just get results anymore. Like, you might look at the OGs in the industry who are absolutely smashing it and they've got leads coming in left, right, and center, but they've done that for 10 years, and even those guys still have to do acquisition, content, and marketing strategies. A lot of the time with fitness professionals, it's all defensive, and I feel like when it comes to the offensive, they almost don't want to do it because they come into this industry wanting to be a great coach, and they're like, well, I don't really want to do acquisition, I don't really want to do content, I don't want to do this. You're not going to be able to attack, you're not going to be able to gain, you're not going to be able to conquer, you're not going to be able to create ground, you're not going to take steps forward. So what we've got to imagine in this example right now is, for this group of Spartans, they need to have an offensive structure, because if all they're doing is focusing on their shield wall and just defending themselves, they are not going to take steps forward. So in order for this system to work, we need to make sure that we have got our defense system on the left hand side, right hand side, and ourselves and what we're doing. But we also need to make sure that we have got a spearhead to know where we are going. So if, for example, this group of Spartans, or even just these three here, walked forwards alone, they would be, one, defending themselves, right? But also they'd be offensive because they've got the spears out and they're moving forwards, right? So just setting the tone on what this video is about, because it's really important to obviously articulate and understand that point. So when we're basically coming in and doing this, right, I want to bring up some really kind of big names and big quotes and really kind of install what I'm trying to say here. So if we go back to the law of three, right? So free spears, free shields, free points, free focus areas, free, right? One thing that I try and do myself, and especially within my company, and it takes a long time, but with myself and middle management staff, for example, if I look at Rob or look at Ben or whoever, so when we're coming in, I'll go, right, you need to focus on 3 areas. So my 3 areas are content, right, meeting structures, and it's product development. I have to focus on that, because if I improve the product, I improve it for everyone. If I create content, we're going to move forwards, and obviously if we're managing stuff, we've got a good defense, right? So for example, the law of 3 is really important, and if you feel like you're doing loads of different areas, or you're focusing on loads of different areas and you're doing too much, you're spreading yourself too thin. Some quotes here, Richard Branson as a start point: if you're trying to chase too many rabbits, you'll catch none, right? So it's really easy. If there's 10 rabbits and you're trying to chase every single one of them, you're not going to catch any of them. If you isolate one and really focus on it, you're still going to, I definitely won't be able to catch a rabbit. You might be able to, you might be really fast, but in essence, you're not going to catch none if you're trying to catch everyone, right? And that goes back to the same points we spoke about before in terms of target market and niche. Tony Robbins, a massive one, but looking at it from a different perspective, right? Where focus goes, energy flows, right? If you spread your focus too wide, your energy is diffused, right? So if we're focusing on too many areas, so if we go back to this here, so if this person here is focusing on what's going on behind him, what's going on left, what's going on right, rather than going, here's our 3, here's our defensive wall, here's my offensive structure, they are not going to be able to take steps forwards, because they've got a break in their defense and they've also got a break in their attacking structure as well, right? So energy needs to be focused into hyper-specific areas, right? Bruce Lee, love Bruce Lee. It's not a daily increase, but a daily decrease. Hack away the unessentials, an absolute massive one. Anything that's creating you any form of operational drag in any way, shape or form, get rid of it, remove it, right? Because it's not benefiting you in any way, shape or form. So if we go back to this initial example again, let's just say, for example, that these people had big metal boots on, metal legs, metal arms, they were carrying a load of stuff on the back, right? They would not be able to hold that shield properly and hold that spear properly, and they won't be able to move forwards because they've got too much operational drag. So just to repeat, if you're trying to chase too many rabbits, you'll catch none, right? Where energy goes, energy flows. It's not the daily increase, but the daily decrease. So it's about coming in and dropping dead weight, dropping operational drag, and hyper-focusing on real specific areas. So straight away, before we come into anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about your defense, right? And I want you to imagine that you've got 3 shields. So when we've got this, we've got problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, right? Within your program, I want you to focus on solving 3 problems. If a client comes to you with 20 problems, that's fine, but within your offer and within your content, you are focusing on getting solutions for 3 problems, because if you find solutions for 3 core problems, that is the single thing. For me, again, if I go back to what I said at the start, mine would be content, acquisition and sales, because that is what everybody needs, right? Once you've got better content, you're going to obviously grow your personal brand and grow your audience. Once you've got acquisition, you're getting people through the door. Once you've got sales, you're going to get more experience, and in turn, you're going to be a better coach, right? So for you guys right now, and again, this is a massive issue that I see across the board, is people are trying to cater for absolutely everyone. If someone comes in with all different areas going wrong with them, they're trying to support them in every single area. If you are saying on a real basic level, if you are saying that I am solving your fat loss problem, your muscle gain problem and your mindset problem, every single avenue of your program needs to focus on that as a solution, that as a solution, and that as a solution. Do not be coming in and talking about or delivering or doing anything else other than what you are selling to someone. If someone comes through the door because they are instigated and interested in what you said about the pain points, the problems and what you're doing, all you need to do is deliver on what you said, right? So say for example, if we went back to that initial one, if you were coming in and you were going like routine habits, behaviors, mindset, fat loss, injury, nutrition deficiencies, dietary habits, like whatever, like biomechanics, how are you ever going to be able to create a strong defense by focusing again on too many things, because you're spreading yourself too wide? So when we're looking at real strong defensive structure, and that is getting people through the door and keeping them, that is solving the 3 core problems that person is facing, right? So again, like we said, maybe fat loss, muscle gain, mindset. But when you're building your target market, your niche, your customer persona, we need to make sure it's heavily hyper specific, because again, the more hyper specific you are with your marketing, and the more hyper specific that you are with your actual resolutions that you're providing for that target market, niche, customer persona, pain point, latent condition, the better results that you're going to get. The more well known that you're going to be, the person who is known for something rather than just known for everything, or a jack of all trades rather than being a master of one. That's the best way to describe it. Now, when we're looking at attack, what a great picture that is. What we've got here is 3 areas. You need to create content around what we've spoke about in terms of your target market and everything that we're doing there, your niche and your customer persona. You need to be focused on outbound and acquisition systems. Whether you might be 6 years into this now, watching this video, 6 months or 6 weeks or 6 minutes, right? I can categorically, unbeknown, promise you, right, that you will have to come back to outbound acquisition, whatever it is, right? That might be following up on lead magnets. That might be looking at setting up interactions. That might even be cold calling, cold DMing, depending on where you are in business. If you want to push to real big figures, it's going to come down to acquisition. It's going to come back to outbound. So if you are just focusing on content and waiting for sales to come through, but you are, again, not coming in and actually focus on outbound acquisition, you've got a break in the chain, right? It's like coming in and saying that I'm going to solve problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, but you've only got a solution for problem 1 and problem 3. So number 2 is completely left open. So you've not fulfilled the needs of what your actual target market and your niche and whoever it is obviously needs. So what we're trying to do here is make sure that we're matching the exact same. Because if you've got a breakdown in your defense, bang, you're going to start losing clients. When we are coming on here, if you are not focusing on content, if you're not focusing on the outbound and you're breaking down your belief systems and building strategies and systems around that, which is what we do for clients, and improving your sales structures, then there's going to be a breakdown in the system, right? So for example, on the other hand, you might be great at sales, great at outbound, but your content's terrible. So your content's not very good. So you've not got a buy-in from your audience. So your outbound's ineffective and your sales is ineffective. And I'm not speaking really fast to go through that, but that's how simple it is, right? If you spend every single day doing this, isolating problems, articulating pain, building latent conditions for that, focusing on developing your product to find a solution for 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be onto a winner straight away, right? All you then do is articulate that into your content, into your outbound acquisition strategies, and into your sales, and that is how simple this is. And I know that might not sound simple in any way, shape, or form, but I can genuinely promise you, when you do it right from the start and you build that structure and you start layering it out and you don't try and cut corners and do 7 figures in 5 minutes like there's some of the stuff you might see online nowadays, that's how easy it gets, because all you do is just focus on those 3 areas, get better at those 3 areas, refine them, retarget them, everyone's winning. Right, so let's go over it from a business example right now, because obviously we've touched on the Romans, the Knights and the Spartans and the shields, and maybe the message isn't there yet. Let's go as a step-by-step process, as a flowchart diagram. So this is how simple it is. Number 1, target market. Number 2, niche. Number 3, customer persona. Number 4, pain. From that point, are we actually getting action off the back of how you are articulating pain and latent conditioning? Because if you're not getting action and stimulus, then it means that there's some form of breakdown in what you're targeting there. From that point, right, we have isolated, it's not worked, problem 1, problem 2, problem 3. Now we've got 1, 2, 3 problems. All we do from that point is create solution 1, solution 2, solution 3, and then finally at the bottom, are we making sure that we are articulating pain, problems, and solutions via our content, via our acquisition, and via our sales structures, right? That's how you scale and dramatically increase your revenue and create a life of freedom, and don't have to be a Spartan warrior, unless you want to be a Spartan warrior. I'd love to be a Spartan warrior, but yeah, that's an easy example, guys. As always, guys, any questions, any likes, any subscribers, any requests, anything, please just drop it on the video. I'd love to get back to people. I'd love to create videos for people. And if you are like sat there going, I want to know more information about this, like this seems to make sense, like I want to move into the concept and the methodology and the actual system of doing it right, rather than tripping myself up and going through the endless back and forths that you might have done previously on your own or previously in other providers, then there's a link in my bio. Have a look at that video, have a look at that resource, find out more information on my Instagram, look at the results that we get on our highlights. Again, this is not a gimmick, this is not a hoax, this is just a proven system, proven methodology. It might be strange examples, but it works. See you next time.